Hey everybody, Nathan Elson here, and welcome back to another episode of How I Got the Shot. Now today we're going a little bit contrasty. We're going to be creating an image that looks exactly like this. Let's just get into it. Here we are in the studio and I'm running a 3-light setup. My key light is an 8600 Pro with the extension head, which is then mounted on a Strobe Pro Parasoft focus bracket, which is all housed inside of a Strobe Pro 47-inch octabox. This light is metered to f11 at 1/200th of a second at ISO 100. Now because we want our camera to mimic our key light so that we get a proper exposure, this means my camera settings will also be f11 at 1/200th of a second at ISO 100. The other two strobes are both 8600 Pros with the ProPhoto medium deep umbrellas attached, and they are metered at f16 at 1/200th of a second at ISO 100, so one full stop brighter than the key light so that we're getting that pure white background. If we pause here for a moment, I want to point out the positioning of the model in regards to the lighting and the backdrop. I wanted the light bouncing off the background to add touches of rim light to the model, so I have the model positioned just a few feet away from the backdrop. Using the backdrop to add some rim light to your subject is all about finding that sweet spot, when you're not so close to the backdrop that the rim light is overexposed or wrapping too much around your model, and not so far away that it's not really producing any effect. For my camera, I'm shooting on the Nikon D800 with the Sigma Art 50mm lens, and I'm tethered into Capture One Pro. Okay, so here we are in Capture One, and I just wanted to show you guys a couple of the images that we created and just talk to you a little bit about the rim light that I was talking about, those little hints of light that I was using from the backdrop to wrap around our model and just create a little bit more contrast, a little bit more shape in the image. So as you can see here, if we come in nice and tight here, you can see these little hints of rim that are happening kind of on the model's face, little areas down here on the side of her hips and things like that. And that's this light that's coming off the background and wrapping around the model. And that's what I was talking about, of not getting so close that those highlights become really, really bright and blown out, but not so far away that you lose that wrapping around effect from the backdrop. So I find for this type of lighting, usually around that kind of 3-foot range tends to work perfectly. So I'll just show you guys some of the images that we created from this shoot. And these are all straight out of camera. Of course, if you want to see more of the edited images, follow me on Instagram. It's where I post the majority of this work. So yeah, if you want to see more of the finals, probably the best place to search them out. But I'm gonna go through and we're gonna work on this one. I think I really like the way that Para octabox, just the highlights in the eyes look really great. I like her expression. I like her pose. I like how we're getting some little hints of rim light coming in on our cheek, things like that. So we're gonna go through, we're gonna color grade this one. So I'm gonna jump in here into my styles, and you might notice here that I've got these 2021 C1 styles. I did just release a completely new pack. Over the last year, I've been working to fine tune all of the editing that I do. And you know, styles change and people change and just kind of their workflow changes. And so I've been working on these and putting them together for my own personal use. And I have enough now that I thought this might be a great way to put the pack together for you guys and throw it out to you if you're interested in that kind of thing. But just to show you here, just a few of what these styles look like. I'm probably gonna go with the Contra because it's kind of designed for that on-white kind of hit of light thing. Yeah, we're gonna come into here. We're gonna hit the Contra. This is what I use for this style of lighting to get this kind of like really high dynamic range black and white look. This is the preset that I always go to, or style if you will. The only thing I'm going to adjust is I'm gonna come down here and I'm gonna come into the clarity. I'm gonna bump it up just a little bit here. And I'm also gonna put in just a little bit of structure. And so as you can see there, that looks fantastic. So if we just kind of after and before, we're not losing any detail. We're still keeping everything down in the hair here. You know, we're not pushing it so far that that we're starting to lose detail, which is huge. As you can see, this is before and after, and it just, you know, obviously she's got the Calvin Klein bra on and stuff like that. This is very reminiscent of that whole Calvin Klein black and white era, which I absolutely loved. So again, after, before, after. And color grading wise, that's all we need to do. Now I'm gonna come in here and I'm just gonna put a little bit more light into her eyes here. So I'm just going to create another layer. I'm gonna grab my brush here and I'm just gonna paint in just a little bit here on the bottoms of her eyes. And then I'm gonna come into my exposure and I'm bring that up. Yeah, about just under 1 full stop here. And then so if I turn this off and on, you can see it just adds a little bit more punch into the eyes. We've already got this really cool look with that octabox being housed on that para arm. It just gives you all of those little kind of strips of light, which just looks really neat. So when we add a little bit more light into these eyes, it just makes it pop a little bit more. And so again, just before and after. And if I do a before and after on this, that's the after, that's the before. So you can see it just makes the image just a little bit more iconic, if you will. This is something that I could see easily being in an ad or on the cover of an album or just a really cool portrait as a whole. I'm a really big fan of this style of lighting and this style of editing. So now that we've got this, I'm gonna jump into Photoshop and just get rid of all of these umbrellas and clean things up a little bit and get it into the final stages of this retouch. Okay, so here we are in Photoshop, and the first thing that we need to do here is get rid of these umbrellas that are part of the image. Really easy to do. All I'm gonna do here is I'm just going to grab my lasso tool and I'm just going to quickly paint around that. Then I hit backspace for my content aware, hit enter, okay, and that's gone. And then I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. So first I'm gonna hit Control D, deselect that, come over here and just quickly lasso around that one, backspace, enter. There we go, and now those are gone. So I'm gonna Control D that just to deselect it. The other thing that I'm going to do is I've got just a little bit of seam here from the hinge on the V flat. So I'm just gonna grab my healing brush tool. I'm just gonna come in, I'm just gonna quickly paint that away. Perfect. And that takes care of anything that is, you know, not supposed to be a part of the image. Now, still with my my healing brush tool, I'm just gonna come in here and I'm just gonna quickly take care of a few little skin imperfections, nothing major here. The model does have fantastic skin, so there's not a whole lot to be done. Got that there, get rid of that. Perfect. And just down in here. Okay, that looks great. Now, the other thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run my dodge and burn action. Now, this action is completely free. I will link it down in the description below. If you're not already using it, it's super easy to use. You just click on your dodge and burn, come over here, make sure that your paintbrush is selected, that it's set to white, that your flow is set to around 5%, and that your brush hardness is set to 0. Then you can select your dodge or your burn. So burn if you want to make things darker, dodge if you want to make things lighter. And we just start painting things away. So what I'm going to do with my dodge here is I'm just going to come in and just a few of these darker areas that I just want them to blend a touch more. I'm just going to come in, I'm just going to paint away on these. And I'll click a before and after to show you guys what this looks like. It can be a little bit hard to see as I'm going along here, but it's a really nice, quick, efficient, clean way to blend all of your shadows and just give your images a little bit more of that polished feel. So just to quickly show you guys here, just before and after, you can kind of see in this whole cheek area here, I just kind of smooth things out a little bit. Nothing that was like overly dramatic, but just kind of helping to give that image a little bit more of a polished feel. So again, just these little skin variations on the neck. Just blend those in. And what's nice doing this with a dodge and burn versus doing it with like a healing or a clone is that you don't lose any of the natural skin texture that's underneath. You're just blending the shadows in. So again, if I turn this off and on, it doesn't take away anything. It just smooths everything out, makes it a little bit more polished, as I continue to say. So I'm just gonna come in here again, a couple other areas in here, and then just down here on our stomach. And then after I kind of come through and do a little bit of this spot dodging and burning, I always go through and I do a global dodge and burn. And that just helps to create a little bit of shape in the face, kind of accentuate everything that's going on in the photo and the shaping that we were creating with our lighting. It just helps to make it pop just a little bit more. And again, if you've seen any of my videos, like I always say, you don't want to create something that isn't there, but you do want to accentuate what is. So just going to quickly finish this part up here. Awesome, so just before and after. And we can also come in here and we can just throw a little bit more light into the eye areas here. Just make them pop a touch more. So before, after. Awesome. So now I'm going to do what's more of a global dodge and burn. So I'm going to run my action again here, and I'm just going to grab my burn tool here. I'm going to come in just a little bit, and I'm just going to kind of follow the shadow lines that were already part of the image here. Highlight around her nose and a little bit into her cheekbones and her head. Then I'm going to come down, kind of accentuate this area in her stomach. There we go. Around her lips a touch. And so if I turn this off and on, you can see it's just adding a little bit more shape into the jawline. Again, it's not creating something that isn't there. It's just accentuating something that already is. I feel like the dodge or the burn might be a little heavy on that cheek, so you can just bring your opacity down a little bit and that will adjust through. So if I just show you here, I can go like all the way off to up a little bit. That looks great there. Then I'm going to come with my dodge, and I'm just going to kind of highlight into this cheek area, up the bridge of her nose and onto her forehead. Nice. And again, just smooth this area out just a touch. Throw a little bit more light onto her lips just so we get that shine. Awesome. So before, after, before, after. And it's just adding a little bit more snap to the image itself. Now I do want to get rid of this little line underneath her neck here. There we go. And the reason that I like to set this to 5% flow and just paint it in is it doesn't make it so, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not so strong right off the get-go. You can kind of just work your way into it. And if it needs a little bit more, few more strokes in it, you can do that. It's not just like, bam, right off the go. You can, like painting, you can add in as much or as little as you need. There we go. And again, just with my dodge here, I'm just gonna, again, just kind of come into her stomach area. Just highlight a little bit of this area, make it pop. There, that looks awesome. And I'll just show you guys the side by side, straight out of the camera, to the final edit, and that's what this image looks like fully retouched. So there we go, another episode of how I got the shot officially in the bag. Now hopefully you guys picked up a few tips from this that you can use in your shoots going forward. If you have any questions about anything, use the comments box down below. That's what it's there for. If you did like this video, give it a thumbs up. I'd very much appreciate it, and I'll talk to you guys again very, very soon. Cheers.